Hello and welcome back to the guest list, where today I'm talking through the favourite films of Mr. Matt Lucas. Now, the rumour mill does turn, and it says that you might be moving to America or buying a house out there.
I may well do this thing that you have said in your mouth there.
Yeah?
Yes.
OK. Hollywood, New York, it's a big country.
No, the West Coast, yeah. Yeah, nice and warm.
It is.
I ain't got no air, getting cold.
You and David Walliams are rumoured to be writing a film for DreamWorks.
Oh, yeah. No, well, he is, and I'm not.
Oh.
Oh. No, we were, but then I decided to spend my time not writing that film and doing some other things.
Oh, well, so there was truth in it for a moment.
There was some truth, yeah. But I think David is still writing it.
OK.
Yeah. You know, it takes a whole lot of skill to write a cartoon, and I wasn't sure that it was playing to my strengths, to be honest with you.
Are you ready for this fascinating link into our next film? One of Michael Jackson's songs was called Black or White. Black and White was going to be the title of our next film on the list, 1983's Trading Places.
Ah, really? That would have been a really unsubtle title, wouldn't it?
Merry Christmas! I have no money to give you. Given the right surroundings, I'll bet that that man could run our company. I'm not a thief! You're a dead man, Valentine!
This is Eddie Murphy at the top of his game. Yeah. Dan Aykroyd, his best performance.
Penelope, do you realize where I've been since yesterday? They beat me up and stole my clothes. Those men wanted to have sex with me.
Is this somewhere else?
Jamie Lee Curtis is great and sexy, but in an interesting way, in a different way.
The only thing I got going for me in this whole big wide world is this body, this face, and what I got up here.
And Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici, is it?
Who play
the brothers,
and
Randolph.
Mother always said you were greedy. She meant it as a compliment.
You do start to feel really bad for Dan Aykroyd, don't you? Mm-hmm. As it goes on, especially when he's dressed as Father Christmas, and I think he's trying to eat some fish, and it's covered in fur. And you just go, oh no. You know, and Denham Elliott as well, of course, as the butler. Brilliant in that.
Sir?
Yes.
Basically doing a bit of a rip-off of John Gielgud in Arthur, basically.
That's right, and I think Ronnie Barker was at one point connected with that role.
It's just a great film, and the feeling of joy you get when they join forces at the end.
It occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor people.
My God. Washington, D.C. Dukes are going to corner the entire frozen orange juice market.
Unless somebody stops them.
Or beats them to it. Eggnog.
And is it John Landis?
John Landis.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the 80s, I mean, I look at the 80s with a real fondness. It's an era that I was, I sort of grew up, I was a child of the 80s, so this has got Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy and John Landis worked together, who are sort of the three icons for me of the 80s.
Yeah, well, the 80s is the era where you would walk down to the video shop at the end of your road and you would rent a movie, and that you have a very different relationship with it because you weren't sat in the cinema, you'd actually been, and there was probably 500 films or 1,000 films to choose from. You'd made a point of choosing this one. And if you were me, you would probably watch the film twice before you took it back.
Now, as well as having just finished Romeo and Juliet, you've also been working with a man whose film we're going to be talking about in a moment.
Judd Apatow, yeah.
And the movie's called Bridesmaids.
Yeah. And Paul Feig directed, and their last collaboration was this brilliant series called Freaks and Geeks, which launched the careers of Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jason Segel, and so I was very, very excited when I got to meet Paul Feig and he said, come on board for this. I was only on it for a week, and it's a lot of improvisation. It's very, very different. You know, it's not, usually I'm working with David and I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock with 4 hours worth of prosthetics, and this was a whole other thing. This was a much more naturalistic performance and working with people I'd never worked with before, but it was great fun, and that's out in May, I think.
This links nicely into our final film because there's a scene in Trading Places which you see Jamie Lee Curtis's breasts, and that is mentioned in Knocked Up, which was directed by the man who directed your final choice we mentioned earlier. We've reached that point from 2009. Funny People.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Simmons!
You have a very serious disease. It's a form of leukemia.
I'm sure your sense of humor will serve you well in this situation.
Don't worry, be happy.
What you been doing?
Don't worry.
You outside.
This is exciting.
I don't know how to fight. I'm a comedian.
Well, that was a contrived segue, no disrespect.
Difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. You've already written it down, you've already read it aloud. Yeah, you've already made your point, mate. Next time, wear a tie. But the thing is, Judd Apatow's Funny People is his least rated film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably his least commercially successful film. It's certainly less commercially successful than The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up.
Yeah.
It's a strange beast because it's quite long. It's certainly well over 2 hours. And the first hour and a half is this parable about a misanthropic, lonely, hugely successful comedian who believes he's dying, who I sort of don't want to give it away because I'm not sure everybody will have seen it.
No.
But then the last 45 minutes is kind of another film. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have, yeah.
And Eric Bana comes in. Now, Eric Bana's brilliant.
Yeah. Right.
He's absolutely brilliant, but he's brilliant in a different way to everyone else being brilliant in this film. And just the tone of the film shifts massively.
Yeah.
But the first hour and a half is the best thing I think Judd Apatow's ever done.
Everything's already changed, George, and the truth is, soon you're going to start getting very sick, and you are going to want someone other than me there. I mean, have you even told your parents yet?
My parents are in their mid-70s. They would drop dead if they heard about this.
Friends? You must want to tell your friends.
I don't really have any friends. There's nobody I'm really close with. I got showbiz friends. You're my closest friend, and I don't even like you.
And from Adam Sandler, it's just the most extraordinary comic and straight dramatic performance.
This medicine does not work. It makes it worse.
Okay, I'll call him right now. Tell him we're coming, okay?
Now. We gotta go now.
And it's fascinating the fact that they used the footage at the start of his real-life prank calls when they were college roommates, him and Judd Apatow, and then the old videos when he's got this illness and he's watching that. And it's something that's sort of... It crosses the boundaries between real life and fiction, despite the fact it is obviously a work of fiction. But I agree, it does feel like two different movies, but I'm pleased you said Eric Bana's performance is so good, because I think he's fantastic when he describes the rules to Aussie football.
Yeah, he does give a brilliant comic performance in that film.
I would be crying in my panties if I was you.
And about comedy as well, which is nice. You don't see a lot of films about stand-up comedy, really.
It's really hard to do films about comedy. They are kind of doomed, basically. But it's one of my favourite non-commercially successful films ever, to be honest with you. Oh, I really like it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And finally,
I love it. I wouldn't it. It's a film, but I love it. Was that too much?
Hey, lovely to talk to you. Thank you
nice
very
talk
much.
To you. All the tension was for comedic purposes.
Yeah.
Really, I actually don't mind him.
That's actually a nice compliment. I'll take that.
Seriously, because the first time you interviewed me, it was for MTV, and we were lying on the ground in Leicester Square, you, me and David. And I thought, nice guy, but what is this? Right. But now, you've scrubbed up nicely, genuinely, you're presentable, my mother can watch this, you'll have to edit out the swearing, but that was me swearing, not him. And genuinely, you've turned into a very nice chap, and I'm pleased for you, genuinely.
So, a fascinating selection of films from Mr. Matt Lucas, who also noted it's been the first time in 2 seasons of the show I haven't worn a tie. Thank you. A bit late now, though. And I will say this, there are 2 kinds of men in this world, those who cried at Toy Story 3 and liars. Join me for the next guest list when I'm going to be sitting down with none other than screen legend Sigourney Weaver. I'll see you then.
Do you want my autograph?
Go on then,
Because I've been in films, so I write my autograph down. Who's it to?
It's to Alan.
To Alan Zone. To Alan Zone. Next time, wear a tie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matt Lucas.